The first time Isla died, she was on her honeymoon. Not literally, but something inside her, the soft belief that love meant safety, that marriage vows were promises kept. Now, at 27, Isla had learned to read her husband's footsteps the way prey reads a predator's breathing. And right now, Demon was hunting. What she didn't know was that at the forest's edge, a king who'd lost everything was catching her scent for the first time. And when Rowan's wolf recognized its fated mate, broken, brutalized, and bound to another man, it did something it hadn't done in 5 years of lonely exile. It roared. The whiskey bottle slipped from Isla's trembling hands, shattering across the kitchen tile. She dropped to her knees immediately, scrambling to gather the glass shards before he noticed, her fingers shaking as she swept the amber liquid with a dish towel. Too late. Can't even pour a drink properly. Demon's voice came from the doorway, cold and sharp as a blade. Isla kept her eyes down, watching his expensive leather shoes cross the threshold. She'd learned to read him in the small details, the tension in his jaw, the set of his shoulders, the way he rolled up his sleeves when he came home. Tonight would be bad. She could feel it. I'm sorry, Isla whispered, still on her knees. I'll clean it up. I'll get you another. 3 years of sorry. Demon's laugh was bitter, cruel. And you're still the same pathetic human who can't do anything right. Can't give me an heir. Can't even follow simple instructions. The words landed like they always did, a familiar ache blooming in Isla's chest. She'd heard the story 1,000 times. Defective. Worthless. The reason their marriage was failing. How if she'd just been stronger, better, more wolf, maybe he wouldn't have to discipline her. Maybe she'd be worth keeping. It didn't matter that she was human when he'd married her, that he'd known exactly what she was. Demon needed someone to blame, and Isla was all he had. Get up. His hand was already in her hair, yanking her head back. You're making dinner tonight, and if you burn it again, you'll sleep in the garden. Demon released her with a shove and disappeared upstairs. Isla waited until she heard the shower running before she let herself breathe. Her scalp throbbed where he'd gripped too hard, and she touched it gently, checking for blood. None. Good. The bruises she could hide under long sleeves and high collars, but blood left scars. She stood slowly, brushing broken glass from her skirt. That's when she felt it, the prickle of awareness that meant she wasn't alone. Someone was watching her. Isla scanned the tree line through the kitchen window, heart hammering. The forest pressed close to their house, dense with pine and shadow. Nothing moved. But the feeling persisted, raising goosebumps along her arms. Hello? She whispered to the empty room. Silence. She pulled the curtains closed quickly, bolting the window latch. Probably just a deer. Or her imagination playing tricks. She was always imagining rescue, different endings, versions of herself that were braver. But she never left. She'd tried twice. The first time, Demon had dragged her back by her hair and broken 2 of her ribs. The second time, he'd locked her in their bedroom for a week without food. Where would she go? She had no money, Demon controlled every dollar in their account. She had no family left, he'd isolated her from everyone years ago. And even if she ran, who would believe her stories about the beloved pack alpha? Demon was charming, successful, respected. Everyone adored him. No one knew what he became behind closed doors. Isla moved through the kitchen mechanically, starting dinner. Steak, because Demon preferred meat. She seasoned it with practiced efficiency, her mind drifting the way it always did when she worked, to the life she'd imagined before the wedding, to the man she'd thought Demon was, to dreams of freedom she no longer let herself feel. Foolish hopes for a woman who couldn't even leave her own house. 5 miles deep in the forest, Rowan had been watching the woman for 5 days, and his wolf was losing its mind. He'd noticed her the first time by accident, passing through pack territory on his way to nowhere when he'd caught her scent at the market square. Honeysuckle and fear. Human fragility and something underneath that called to his very soul. Then he'd seen her. Delicate. Haunted. Beautiful in a wounded way that made his chest ache. She'd been covering a black eye with makeup, flinching when her husband grabbed her arm too roughly in public. And Rowan's wolf had recognized her instantly. Mate. Before we continue, if you're already hooked by Isla's story, please hit that subscribe button. It tells me you want more emotional werewolf romances like this. And drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Are you in the US? UK? Philippines? I love seeing our global pack come together. Now, let's see what happens when Rowan breaks his exile. The roast was perfect. Isla had checked it 3 times in the last hour, adjusting the temperature, basting it with the herb butter Demon preferred. The potatoes were golden, the vegetables seasoned exactly how he liked them. The table was set with military precision, his plate at the head, knife and fork aligned, water glass filled to the precise level he demanded. Everything was perfect. Except it wasn't. It never was. Her hands trembled as she smoothed down her dress, the blue one he'd chosen for her last week. Not too tight, not too loose. Hair pulled back but not severe. Makeup covering the fading yellow bruise on her jaw, but not so much that he'd accuse her of trying to look pretty for other men. She'd learned this dance over 3 years, memorized every step, and still managed to stumble. The clock on the wall read 5:47. 13 minutes. Isla's stomach clenched as she checked the whiskey cabinet, and her heart stopped. Empty. She'd forgotten to buy his Macallan. The bottle sat on the counter, drained from last night, and in the chaos of her morning, cleaning the house, running errands, preparing his favorite meal, she'd completely forgotten to replace it. No. No, no, no. She could run to the store. There was time. Her keys were right there on The sound of tires on gravel made her blood turn to ice. 5:49. He was early. Isla's breath came in short, panicked gasps as the truck door slammed. Heavy footsteps on the porch. She pressed herself against the kitchen counter, trying to remember how to breathe, how to make herself smaller, invisible, less. The door opened. Demon filled the doorway, and Isla knew immediately. It was in the set of his shoulders, the tightness around his mouth, the way his eyes went flat and cold when they landed on her. He'd had a bad day. Someone at the Pack Council had challenged him, or questioned his authority, or looked at him wrong. It didn't matter. She would pay for it. Hi, honey, she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Dinner's ready. I made your favorite. Where's my whiskey? His voice was quiet. Dangerously quiet. I forgot. I'm sorry, I was going to go get it, but I lost track of time with dinner, Anne. You forgot. He moved into the kitchen, and Isla instinctively backed up until she hit the wall. You had one job today, Isla. Make dinner. Stock my whiskey. How do you fuck up something so simple? I'm sorry. I'll go right now. I'll be back in 15 minutes. His hand shot out, gripping her jaw so hard she felt her teeth cut into her cheek. You'll go nowhere. You look at me when I'm talking to you. She was looking at him. She was always looking at him, reading every micro-expression, trying to predict which way the storm would break. But his pupils were dilated now, wolf rising to the surface. And she knew, there was nothing she could say that would make this better. The roast is dry, he said, though he hadn't even looked at it. No, I basted it every. The slap came so fast she didn't have time to brace. Her head snapped sideways, ears ringing, vision blurring. She tasted copper. Don't argue with me. Each word was punctuated with another strike. Open palm, then closed fist, then his hand in her hair, yanking her down. Do you know what I dealt with today? Do you have any idea what it's like to be disrespected by lesser wolves who think they can question me? And I come home to this. To you. Isla tried to curl into herself, tried to protect her ribs. He'd cracked 2 last month and they still ached, but Demon was stronger, faster, angrier. His knee drove into her stomach and she couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, could only make a thin wheezing sound as she hit the floor. I'm sorry, she choked out, blood in her mouth from where her teeth had cut through her cheek. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix anything. He kicked her, once, twice, his boot connecting with her side.
Something cracked.
You're useless. Worthless.
Can't even give me a child.
Can't even remember to buy whiskey. What good are you?
She'd stopped trying to answer.
Words only made it worse. She just curled tighter, arms over her head, and waited for it to end.
It always ended eventually.
When he finally stopped, she was a crumpled heap on the kitchen floor, shaking and bleeding and trying not to sob loud enough to set him off again. She heard him step over her, heard the shower turn on upstairs. Heard him humming, actually humming, as if he hadn't just beaten his wife unconscious.
Isla didn't know how long she lay there. Long enough for the blood from her mouth to pool on the tile.
Long enough for the roast to burn in the oven, filling the house with acrid smoke. Long enough to realize she was still alive, and she didn't know if that was a blessing or a curse.
She crawled.
Literally crawled on her hands and knees to the bathroom, each movement sending fresh agony through her ribs. In the mirror, she didn't recognize the woman staring back.
Swollen face. Split lip. Blood matting her hair. Dead eyes.
How did I become this? She whispered to her reflection.
The woman in the mirror had no answer.
In the forest, Rowan pressed his palms against rough back, claws extending involuntarily, his wolf raging beneath his skin. 5 days. He'd been watching for 5 days, unable to intervene.
She was married.
This was pack territory, not his jurisdiction. There were laws, protocols, boundaries even an exiled king couldn't cross without starting a war.
But his mate was dying in there. Slowly. Painfully. And every instinct in his body screamed at him to break down that door and tear Demon apart. Not yet, he growled to his wolf. We can't.
Not without.
The door opened.
Demon emerged, dragging Isla by her hair. She was barely conscious, feet scraping uselessly against the ground as he pulled her into the garden.
Rowan's vision went red.
You want to embarrass me? Ruin my dinner?
Demon's voice carried on the night air. Fine. Sleep outside like the dog you are. He threw her down.
Isla didn't even try to catch herself, just hit the dirt with a sickening thud. And Demon wasn't done. He kicked her again, his wolf fully emerged now, strength magnified, each blow powerful enough to kill.
Something inside Rowan snapped.
His wolf surged forward with a roar that shook the trees, and Rowan didn't fight it.
Not this time. He'd watched for 5 days.
He'd followed every rule, respected every boundary, honored every law that kept him in exile.
But watching his mate die wasn't one of them.
Enough. The word came out half human, half growl, loud enough to make Demon freeze mid-kick.
But Isla didn't hear it.
She was already unconscious, blood seeping into the dirt beneath her broken body. Rowan crossed the distance in seconds. Demon turned, snarling, but he was drunk and sloppy and Rowan had been an alpha king for a reason. One precise strike to the temple, and Demon crumpled. Then Rowan was on his knees beside her, gathering her into his arms with a gentleness that contradicted the violence still thrumming through his veins.
She was so light. Too light. Broken in ways that made his chest physically ache. I've got you, he whispered, though she couldn't hear him. You're safe now. I promise.
You're safe. Behind them, Demon groaned, already starting to wake.
Rowan didn't care. Let him wake. Let him try to follow.
Rowan was done watching, done waiting, done letting laws and protocols matter more than the woman bleeding out in his arms. He turned toward the forest, toward safety, toward home.
And he ran. Pain woke her.
Sharp, insistent pain in her ribs, her jaw, her head. Isla's eyes snapped open and for one blessed second, she didn't remember. Then it all came rushing back. The whiskey, Demon's fists, the garden, the darkness. Her heart kicked into overdrive. This wasn't her bedroom. The ceiling was rough-hewn wood, not the smooth plaster of their house. The bed beneath her was soft, too soft, and smelled like pine and something wild. Unfamiliar. Panic clawed up her throat. Where was she? How had she gotten here? Oh God, had Demon moved her? Was this some new punishment, taking her somewhere remote where no one would hear her scream? Isla tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Her ribs screamed in protest, vision swimming with black spots. She was dressed in a clean nightgown, not hers, and someone had bandaged her wounds. Her face throbbed beneath careful wrappings. Someone had touched her while she was unconscious. The panic crystallized into terror. She threw off the blankets, stumbled out of bed, looked around frantically for an exit. There, a door. She lurched toward it, every step agony, hand outstretched. A shadow filled the doorway. Isla screamed. She scrambled backward so fast she hit the bedpost, stars exploding across her vision. The man in the doorway went completely still, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. "Easy," he said, voice low and careful. "You're safe. I'm not going to hurt you." But Isla barely heard him over the roaring in her ears. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dark-haired. Not demon, but that didn't mean anything. Men hurt her. That's what they did. "Please," she whispered, pressing herself against the wall. "Please, I'll do whatever you want, just don't." Hey, look at me." He crouched down, making himself smaller, less threatening. His eyes were strange, amber gold, catching the light like an animal's. "You're safe. I won't hurt you. You were dying. I brought you here." Isla's breath came in short, sharp gasps. Where am I? Where's Demon?" "Your husband is at home. Passed out drunk when I left." The stranger's jaw tightened. "You're in my cabin. Deep in the forest. He doesn't know where you are." "No." Isla shook her head, panic rising. No. He'll kill me for this. You don't understand. He'll find me and he'll kill me and he'll kill you too. I have to go back. I have to." "Let him try." The stranger's voice was utterly calm, utterly certain. "He won't touch you again. I promise you that." "You can't promise that." Isla's voice cracked. "You don't know him. You don't know what he's capable of. I watched him beat you unconscious and leave you to die in the dirt." The stranger's eyes flashed gold. "I know exactly what he's capable of. And I'm telling you, he will never touch you again." Isla stared at him. You watched." Something that might have been shame crossed his face. "For 5 days. I wanted to intervene sooner, but you're married. Pack law, it's complicated. I couldn't just." He stopped, took a breath. "But last night, he crossed a line. I couldn't watch anymore. So I brought you here." "Why?" Isla's voice was barely a whisper. "Why would you help me? What do you want?" She saw him understand the question beneath the question. "What's the price? What do I have to do to pay for this kindness?" "I want you alive," he said simply. "That's all." Isla laughed, bitter and broken. "No one does something for nothing. Especially not for someone like me." "Someone like you," he repeated, and there was something fierce in his voice now. "You mean someone who survived 3 years of hell? Someone strong enough to still be breathing after what he did to you?" "I'm not strong. You're here. That's strength." He stood slowly, carefully. "My name is Rowan. I'm going to tend your wounds now, if you'll let me. You have cracked ribs, a concussion, and lacerations that need cleaning. I'm not a healer, but I know enough to keep you alive until you can see one." Isla wanted to refuse. Every instinct screamed not to trust him, not to let him near her. But she hurt so badly, and she was so tired of hurting. "Okay," she whispered. Rowan moved like he was approaching a wounded animal, slow, telegraphing every movement. He pulled up a chair, sat at a careful distance, and opened a kit of medical supplies. "I'm going to touch your face now," he said. "Just to remove the old bandages. Tell me if you need me to stop." No one had ever asked her permission before. The realization hit her so hard she started crying. Rowan's hands stilled. "Did I hurt you?" "No." Isla wiped at her tears with shaking fingers. You asked if it was okay to touch me."
His expression softened into something that looked like heartbreak. Of course I asked.
It's your body, Isla.
He knew her name.
Demon must have said it, or maybe he'd heard it during those 5 days of watching. It should have terrified her, but somehow it didn't. Somehow, hearing her name in this stranger's gentle voice felt like the first true thing she'd heard in years. Rowan worked in silence, cleaning her wounds with careful precision. His touch was impossibly gentle, so different from Demon's brutal handling that Isla couldn't stop the tears. They fell silently while Rowan rebandaged her ribs, applied salve to her bruises, checked her pupils for signs of serious concussion. "You'll heal," he said when he finished. "It'll take time, but you'll heal." He stood, gathered the medical supplies, then pulled a bundle of clothes from a drawer. "These will be too big, but they are clean. There's food on the table when you're ready. And there's a bathroom through that door if you want to wash." Isla stared at the clothes. At the food, bread, cheese, soup that smelled rich and warm. At this man who'd saved her life and asked for nothing in return. What if it's poisoned? The words slipped out before she could stop them. Rowan didn't look offended. He just walked to the table, broke off a piece of bread, ate it. Sipped the soup. Not poisoned. Just food. "Why are you doing this?" "Because someone should have done it sooner." He moved toward the door. "I'll be outside if you need me." "You're safe here, Isla. I know you don't believe that yet, but you will." Then he was gone, the door clicking softly shut behind him. Isla stood alone in the quiet cabin, body aching, mind reeling. Slowly, so slowly, she approached the table. The bread was still warm. The soup smelled like vegetables and herbs and safety. She picked up the spoon with trembling hands. The first bite tasted like hope. And Isla, who hadn't cried during beatings or broken bones or 3 years of systematic destruction, sat at a stranger's table and wept. The first morning, Isla woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of someone moving in the kitchen. Her body went rigid before her eyes even opened, muscles tensing for whatever was coming. Then she remembered, not home, not Demon, somewhere else. Safe, he'd said. She still didn't believe it. She crept down from the loft bedroom like a ghost, every step careful, quiet. Making noise was dangerous. Drawing attention was dangerous. Existing was dangerous. Rowan was at the stove, his back to her. The moment he turned around, Isla flinched so hard she stumbled backward into the wall. He froze instantly, spatula still in hand. "Good morning," he said, voice deliberately soft. "I made breakfast. Eggs and toast. Are you hungry?" Isla couldn't answer. Her throat had closed up. She just stared at him, waiting for the mood to shift, for the kindness to crack and reveal what was underneath. "I'll leave a plate on the table," Rowan said when she didn't respond. He moved slowly, so slowly, setting down food before stepping back toward the door. "I'm going to check the traps. I'll be gone for an hour. Help yourself to anything you need." Then he left. Just left. Didn't demand she eat, didn't hover, didn't require gratitude or acknowledgement. Just gave her space and walked out. Isla stood frozen for 5 full minutes before approaching the table. The eggs were still warm. The toast was buttered exactly right. And she was alone. She ate standing up, ready to run. The second day was worse. Isla couldn't stop apologizing. When she used the bathroom, "I'm sorry for taking so long." When she sat in a chair, "Is it okay if I sit here?" When she accidentally made eye contact with Rowan, "Sorry, I didn't mean to stare." "You don't need to apologize," Rowan said gently after the 7th or 8th sorry. "You're not doing anything wrong." But wrong was subjective. With Demon, breathing too loudly was wrong. Looking away was wrong. Looking at him was wrong. Everything was wrong, and Isla had learned that apologizing first sometimes, made it hurt less. "I'm SOR, she caught herself. "I mean, okay." Rowan was reading by the fire, but he set his book down and looked at her. Really looked, not the cold assessment Demon used, but something softer. "Isla, You don't need my permission to exist here. This is your home too, for as long as you want it to be.
Sit where you want. Eat when you're hungry. Sleep when you're tired. You don't have to ask. But it's your house.
It's a house, he corrected.
Just wood and stone. It doesn't matter.
You matter.
Isla's eyes burned. She turned away before he could see the tears.
On the third day, she finally started to breathe a little easier. Rowan had established a routine that was blessedly predictable. He made breakfast every morning, left her alone to eat, spent the afternoons outside tending to whatever needed tending.
He never touched her without asking first.
Never raised his voice.
Never even stood too close. It should have been comforting.
Instead, it made her more nervous. She kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for him to demand payment for his kindness. She was washing dishes because she needed to be useful, needed to earn her keep. When it happened, the cup slipped from her soapy hands and shattered against the floor. The sound of breaking glass cracked through the quiet cabin like a gunshot. Isla's entire world stopped. Oh God! Oh God! She'd broken something. She destroyed his property. He was going to. I'm sorry.
The words came out as a sob.
She dropped to her knees, hands scrambling to gather the shards even as they cut into her palms. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I'll clean it up. I'll replace it. Please don't.
Isla. Rowan's voice came from behind her. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't get air into her lungs.
The room was spinning and her hands were bleeding and she was going to be punished. She'd been so careful. How could she be so stupid? Isla, stop. Rowan was closer now, but he didn't grab her, didn't yank her up by her hair.
Put down the glass.
You're cutting yourself.
I have to clean it up, she gasped.
I have to fix it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hey.
Hey, look at me.
His voice was steady, grounding. It's just a cup. Just glass.
It doesn't matter. But I broke it. Isla, look at me.
Please.
She finally did, vision blurred with tears. Rowan was crouched a few feet away, hands visible and empty, expression so gentle it made her chest ache. It's just a cup, he repeated. I have others. You didn't do anything wrong. You're safe.
Do you hear me?
You're safe. You're not angry. Her voice was tiny, broken.
No, not even a little. He shifted slightly.
I'm going to come closer now, okay?
I'm not going to hurt you.
I just want to help you breathe. Is that okay? Isla nodded, still shaking. Rowan moved slowly, telegraphing every movement until he was beside her. Not touching, just present.
Can I put my hand on your back? Just to ground you.
You can say no.
She should say no.
She should keep distance, keep walls up, keep herself safe. But she was drowning in panic and his presence was the only solid thing in a tilting world.
Okay, she whispered.
His hand settled between her shoulder blades, warm and steady. Not grabbing, not controlling, just there.
Breathe with me, he said.
In for 4 counts.
Hold for 4. Out for 4. Can you do that? She tried.
The first few breaths were ragged, hitching. But Rowan just kept counting, kept his hand gentle on her back, kept his voice low and calm. Gradually, so gradually, the panic receded. There you go, he murmured. You're doing great. Just keep breathing. When she could finally think again, Isla looked down at her bleeding palms. I made a mess.
I'll clean it up.
Let's get your hands bandaged first. He stood slowly, offering her his hand. She stared at it for a long moment before taking it.
His grip was careful. Careful like she might shatter too.
He led her to the bathroom, cleaned the cuts with gentle efficiency, wrapped her palms in clean bandages. The whole time, Isla couldn't stop trembling. I don't know how to not be afraid, she finally admitted. I don't remember what it feels like to not be waiting for something bad to happen.
Rowan met her eyes in the mirror. Then we'll learn together. One day at a time.
One cup at a time. His mouth quirked in the smallest smile. I have plenty of cups. You can break every single one if you need to. That's not funny. It's a little funny. Despite everything, Isla felt her lips twitch. Not quite a smile, but close. Closer than she'd been in years. That evening, she found herself standing in the doorway while Rowan read by the fire. She'd spent the last 3 nights hiding in the loft, but tonight the distance felt wrong. She didn't want to be alone. Can I? She stopped. He'd said she didn't need permission. I'm going to sit out here.
If that's okay.
More than okay. Rowan didn't look up from his book, giving her the privacy to move without being watched.
Isla chose the chair across from him.
Still several feet of distance, still able to run if she needed to. But close enough to feel the warmth of the fire. Close enough to not be alone. They sat in comfortable silence as darkness fell outside, and for the first time in 3 years, Isla felt something other than fear.
It was small. Fragile. Barely there. But it felt like the beginning of something.
It felt like maybe, just maybe, she could learn to breathe again. By the end of the 2nd week, Isla's bruises had faded from purple to yellow-green, and she could take full breaths without her ribs screaming in protest. The physical healing was easier than she'd expected. It was the rest of her that still felt broken. But something was changing. Small things, barely noticeable. She no longer flinched every time Rowan entered a room.
She'd stopped apologizing quite so much.
And this morning, when he'd accidentally burned the toast and cursed it under his breath, she'd done something she hadn't done in 3 years.
She'd laughed. It had startled them both.
The sound was rusty, uncertain, like she'd forgotten how her own laughter sounded. But Rowan's face had lit up like she'd given him something precious.
Was that a laugh? He'd asked, eyes crinkling at the corners.
The toast is smoking, she'd said, trying to suppress a smile. The toast has character. He'd scraped off the burnt parts with exaggerated care. I prefer my bread well done. You prefer your bread cremated.
Exactly.
See, you understand me perfectly. And she'd laughed again, real and genuine, and felt something warm unfurl in her chest. Now, hours later, she sat on the porch watching Rowan chop wood. She told herself she was just enjoying the fresh air, but that was a lie.
She was watching him.
Had been watching him more and more lately, noticing things she shouldn't notice. The way his muscles moved under his shirt. The concentration on his face when he worked. The gentleness in his hands despite their obvious strength. There was a pull. She'd been trying to ignore it for days, but it was getting harder. Something drew her to him, not fear, not gratitude, but something deeper. Something that made her want to be near him, made her feel safer when he was close. It didn't make sense. She barely knew him. And after Demon, she shouldn't want to be near any man ever again. I feel safe with you, she said suddenly. Rowan's axe paused mid-swing. He set it down carefully and turned to face her. I shouldn't, Isla continued, words spilling out now that she'd started.
I don't know you. We've only been.
I mean, it's only been 2 weeks.
But I do. Feel safe. And I don't understand why.
Rowan was quiet for a long moment. Then he climbed the porch steps and sat down beside her. Not too close, never too close, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. There's something I need to tell you, he said. Something I should have told you sooner, but I didn't want to overwhelm you. You were healing, and I thought. He stopped, took a breath. But you deserve the truth.
Isla's stomach tightened. Here it was. The catch. The price. The thing that would make this all make sense.
I'm a shifter, Rowan said. You probably guessed that already. Wolf.
But there's more. Shifters have something called mate bonds.
Fated pairs. It's rare, but when it happens.
He met her eyes.
The first time I caught your scent at the pack market, my wolf knew.
You're my mate, Isla. The world tilted. No.
The word came out sharp, panicked.
No. I was married. I chose wrong once. I can't do this again. I can't.
Isla. You brought me here because of some biological imperative. Her voice was rising now, panic clawing up her throat. This whole time, you've been nice to me because your wolf told you to.
Stop. Rowan's voice was firm but gentle.
Listen to me. The bond doesn't force you to do anything.
It's not compulsion. You have free will.
Always.
Then what is it? Tears burned in her eyes.
What does it mean? It means my wolf recognizes something in you. Except you're human, so it's not your wolf, it's your soul.
He shifted to face her fully. It means I'm drawn to you.
Want to protect you, care for you, be near you. But Isla, it doesn't mean you owe me anything.
It doesn't mean you have to feel the same way.
But you saved me because of it. I saved you because you were dying.
His voice was steady, certain.
The bond just made it impossible to walk away. But I would have helped you anyway. Anyone with a shred of decency would have.
Isla's hands were shaking.
Why didn't you tell me before?
Because you were traumatized. Terrified.
I didn't want you to think you had to reciprocate or accept or anything else just because I told you.
He leaned forward slightly. You don't owe me anything, Isla.
Not gratitude, not affection, not acceptance of this bond. You can stay here, heal, and leave when you're ready. The bond doesn't change that. But it changes everything.
She wiped at her eyes angrily. You feel this pull toward me. What if I don't feel it back? What if I can't?
Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe, or resignation.
Then I'll accept that. The bond might be one-sided. It happens sometimes.
And if that's the case, I'll still help you.
Still keep you safe.
Still be whatever you need me to be, even if that's just the man who gave you a place to heal.
Isla stared at him. You'd do that?
Even if I don't, even if I can't. Yes.
No hesitation. Your healing is more important than my feelings. You're more important. She didn't know what to say.
Her mind was reeling, trying to process this new information, this impossible thing he was telling her. Part of her wanted to run, to hide, to reject this before it could hurt her. But another part, a part that terrified her, recognized what he was describing. That pull, that safety, that feeling of rightness when he was near.
What does the bond feel like? She asked quietly. For you? Rowan considered this.
Like coming home.
Like every protective instinct I have is focused on one person.
Like my wolf purrs, actually purrs, when you smile.
He smiled ruefully.
It's intense.
Sometimes overwhelming. But I can control it.
The bond doesn't control me. I still make my own choices. And you choose to help me. Every time. Isla's breath hitched. I don't know what I feel. Everything is so confused right now. I'm scared all the time, and I don't trust my own judgment, and I don't know if what I'm feeling toward you is real or just trauma bonding or gratitude or... That's okay. Rowan's voice was soft. You don't have to know. You don't have to decide anything right now. But you're waiting for me to, what?
Accept this bond.
I'm waiting for you to heal.
He met her eyes.
However long that takes, whatever form that takes, if you decide the bond is real for you too, then we'll figure it out together. If you decide it's not, then I'll accept that. Either way, you're safe here. Isla pulled her knees to her chest, trying to process. A mate bond. Fated pairs. This man, this kind, patient, gentle man, believed she was his destined partner. It should have felt like pressure. Should have felt like another cage. Instead, it felt like explanation. Like the pull she'd been feeling finally had a name.
Can I think about this? She asked.
Take forever if you need it. Rowan stood, giving her space.
I'm not going anywhere.
He started to walk inside, then paused in the doorway. For what it's worth, Isla, the bond might have drawn me to you. But it's you, your strength, your resilience, the way you keep choosing to survive, that makes me want to stay. Then he was gone, leaving her alone with her thoughts and the sunset and the impossible knowledge that maybe, just maybe, fate had given her something good for once.
Isla sat on the porch until the stars came out, her mind spinning. She didn't have answers yet.
Didn't know if she could trust this, trust him, trust herself. But for the first time in 3 years, she wanted to try. Demon stood in front of the pack council, every inch the concerned husband. His face was haggard, eyes red-rimmed like he'd been crying. He probably had been, not from grief, but from rage. 2 weeks, he said, voice breaking perfectly. 2 weeks and no sign of her. I'm terrified something terrible has happened. Elder Marys placed a sympathetic hand on his shoulder. We have everyone searching, Demon. If Isla is out there, we'll find her. She wouldn't just leave.
Demon's performance was flawless.
We had a fight, nothing serious, just normal marriage stuff, but she wouldn't run away over that. Someone must have taken her.
The pack murmured in agreement. Demon was beloved here.
Charming, successful, a strong alpha who contributed to the community. No one would believe their golden boy beat his wife bloody on a regular basis. I'm offering a reward, Demon continued. 10,000 to anyone who finds her or provides information leading to her return. After the meeting, alone in his truck, Demon's mask dropped. His hands gripped the steering wheel so hard it cracked under the pressure. That bitch. That ungrateful, worthless bitch. She'd actually left him. Or someone had taken her, which was almost worse. It meant someone had seen what was his and decided to interfere. Either way, when he found her, she'd learn what real pain felt like. He'd been gentle before, patient, but this betrayal required punishment. She was his property, his wife, his to break. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number. I need trackers. The best you have. And I don't care what laws they have to break to find her. Meanwhile, in the cabin, Isla was learning what peace felt like. She sat across from Rowan at the small kitchen table, hands wrapped around a mug of tea. The afternoon light filtered through the windows, painting everything gold. 3 weeks ago, she'd been convinced she'd never see another peaceful afternoon. Now here she was, safe and warm. And the man across from her was looking at her like she mattered. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why were you exiled? You said you were a king, but you never explained what happened. Rowan's expression darkened. I refused an order. The council wanted me to execute 3 families, parents, children, everyone. They claimed the families were harboring traitors, but there was no proof. Just suspicion and fear. He stared into his own mug. I told them I wouldn't kill innocents. Told them if they wanted blood, they'd have to spill it themselves. So they voted me out. Banished me for failing to protect the kingdom. Isla's breath caught. You gave up your kingdom for strangers. I gave up a throne. Keeping it would have meant losing myself. He looked at her then. Some things aren't worth the cost. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror if I'd killed those children just to maintain power. Isla understood that calculus more than he knew. She'd made her own impossible choices, stay and survive, or leave and die. At least you chose integrity. I chose survival. You think those are different? Rowan leaned forward. Isla, you chose both. Every day you stayed alive in that house was an act of resistance. You didn't give him the satisfaction of breaking you completely. I felt broken. Broken and breaking are different. You bent. You survived. That's strength. Something in Isla's chest cracked open. Before she could second-guess herself, the words tumbled out. He wasn't always like that. At first, Demon was perfect. Charming, attentive, swept me off my feet. He isolated me so gradually I didn't notice. First it was your friends don't understand us, then your family doesn't appreciate you like I do. Before I knew it, I had no one but him. Rowan's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet. Listening. The first time he hit me was 6 months after the wedding. I'd laughed at another man's joke at a pack gathering. Just laughed. Demon backhanded me in the car on the way home. Her voice went hollow, reciting facts.
Then he cried. God, he cried so hard.
Swore he'd never do it again, that he didn't know what came over him, that he loved me so much it made him crazy. I believed him.
Of course you did.
That's what they do.
It escalated.
Every apology was followed by worse violence. Every promise to change lasted less time. Eventually he stopped apologizing altogether.
Isla's hands shook around her mug.
I tried to leave twice. The first time, he dragged me back by my hair and broke 2 of my ribs. The second time, he locked me in our bedroom for a week.
No food. Just water he'd slide under the door.
When he finally let me out, he told me if I ever tried again, he'd kill me and make it look like an accident. Isla?
I stayed. For 3 more years, I stayed. What does that make me?
A coward?
An idiot.
The bravest person I've ever met. Rowan's voice was fierce.
How can you say that?
I stayed with a man who brutalized me.
Because leaving meant dying. You knew that.
You tried and failed and nearly died trying. He reached across the table, stopped just short of touching her hand. Survival isn't cowardice, Isla. Staying alive when everything in you wants to give up, that's courage. You fought a war every single day, and you won. You're still here. Isla stared at his hand, so close to hers. Before Demon, she'd been afraid of vulnerability. After Demon, she'd been afraid of everything. But Rowan made her want to be brave again. She closed the distance. Let her fingers brush his. Rowan went very still. Is this okay? Yes.
And it was.
His hand was warm, steady, nothing like Demon's brutal grips. I'm tired of being afraid. You don't have to rush.
I'm not rushing.
I'm choosing.
She met his eyes.
For the first time in years, I'm choosing something I want. And I want to not be afraid of touch.
Of you.
Slowly, so slowly it made her chest ache, Rowan lifted his free hand to her face. His palm cupped her cheek with impossible gentleness, thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. She didn't flinch. The realization hit them both at the same moment. Isla's breath caught, and Rowan's eyes darkened with something that looked like reverence. You're so damn strong, he whispered. Then his whole body went rigid. His eyes flashed gold, head snapping toward the window. The hand on her face dropped as he stood abruptly. What's wrong? Trackers. His voice was clipped, urgent.
Close. Maybe a mile out.
They've picked up our scent.
Isla's blood turned to ice. Demon.
Quick pause. If you're loving Isla and Rowan's love story, please subscribe. And comment below, where are you watching from? I love knowing this story is reaching people all over the world. Now, let's see what happens when Demon finds them. This is about to get intense.
He doesn't know where you are yet.
But if the trackers report back, Rowan was already moving, grabbing supplies, his military training evident in the efficiency of his movements. We need to go.
Now.
Deeper into the territory where the scents are too mixed for them to follow.
He's found me. Isla couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the panic.
Oh God, he's found me. Rowan crossed to her, gripped her shoulders carefully. Listen to me.
He hasn't found you yet. And he won't. I promise you, Isla.
I will not let him take you back. You don't know him.
I don't need to. I know me.
And I know I'll die before I let him touch you again.
His eyes blazed gold.
Do you trust me?
It was insane. She'd known him 3 weeks.
But when Isla looked into those fierce amber eyes, she found her answer. Yes.
Then we run. Now.
They'd been running for hours, deeper into the wilderness where even pack trackers would lose the scent among the wild wolves and mountain streams. Rowan had found them shelter, a cave hidden behind a waterfall, warm and dry and impossible to find unless you knew it was there. Isla collapsed against the stone wall, chest heaving. I'm putting you in danger.
Demon will kill you if he finds us.
I should just.
Don't.
Rowan knelt in front of her, eyes blazing.
Don't even think about going back to him. You're worth it, Isla.
Worth the danger, worth the fight, worth everything.
How can you say that? You barely know me.
I know enough. His hand came up to cup her face, and she leaned into the touch without thinking. I know you're stronger than you believe. I know you deserve so much better than what he gave you. And I know, he stopped, jaw working. What? Isla's heart was pounding, and not from the running. I know that watching you heal, watching you smile, watching you become yourself again, it's the most important thing I've ever done.
His thumb brushed her cheekbone. You matter, Isla. To me, you matter more than anything. Something inside her broke open.
All the fear, all the careful distance she'd been maintaining, all the walls she'd built to protect herself, they crumbled.
I think I'm falling for you, she whispered. Rowan's breath caught.
You don't have to.
I know I don't have to.
That's the point. Isla shifted closer, her hands finding his chest. She could feel his heart hammering beneath her palms, feel the heat of his skin through the thin fabric of his shirt. For 3 years, Demon took everything from me.
My choices, my voice, my desires. He made wanting anything painful. But with you, I'm learning what I actually want.
And Rowan, I want this. I want you.
Isla.
Her name came out rough, desperate. Are you sure? The bond, once completed, it's forever. She met his eyes, saw the gold flickering in their depths.
I know.
You told me.
It can't be undone. You'd be tied to me for the rest of your life.
If you have any doubts.
I don't want doubt anymore.
I don't want fear anymore. Her voice strengthened. Her hands slid up his chest, feeling the rapid rise and fall of his breathing. I want forever with someone who makes me feel human again. Someone who asks permission before touching me. Someone who sees me as worth protecting instead of something to break. You're worth everything, Rowan breathed, and then he was kissing her. It started gentle, a soft press of lips that asked rather than demanded. But Isla didn't want gentle right now. She wanted to feel alive, wanted to reclaim her body as her own. She pressed closer, opening her mouth to him, and felt Rowan shudder against her. His hands came up to frame her face, tilting her head to deepen the kiss. His tongue traced the seam of her lips and she let him in, tasting him fully for the first time. He tasted like pine and wild things in safety, and she couldn't get enough. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Rowan's eyes were completely gold. Is this okay? He murmured, even as his hands trembled against her skin. Isla felt tears prick her eyes. No one's ever asked me that before. I'll always ask. His forehead pressed to hers, his breath hot against her lips. Every time. Your body, your choice. Always. She kissed him again, harder this time, her fingers tangling in his dark hair. She felt his low growl vibrate through his chest, felt his control starting to slip. One of his hands slid down to her waist, fingers splaying across her ribs, and she arched into the touch. I want to see you, Rowan said against her mouth. All of you. I want to touch every inch of your skin. Want to kiss every scar he left behind and show you what your body is supposed to feel like. But only if you want that too. Yes. The word came out breathless, needy. God, yes. His hands found the hem of her shirt, but he paused, golden eyes searching her face. Tell me if you need me to stop. Anytime. For any reason. Isla nodded, pulse racing as he slowly, so slowly, lifted the fabric. She raised her arms to help him, and then the shirt was gone and cool air hit her heated skin. For one terrible moment, old fear spiked. Demon seeing her body had always meant pain, criticism, violence.
But Rowan looked at her like she was art.
Beautiful, he whispered, and his voice was reverent. His eyes traveled over her, taking in the fading bruises on her ribs, the scars from old injuries, the imperfections she'd learned to hate. Every part of you is so damn beautiful. Then he lowered his head and pressed his lips to her shoulder,
to her collarbone, to the curve of her neck.
Each kiss was worship, slow and deliberate, asking rather than taking. His mouth traced a path down her chest, and when his lips closed around her nipple through the thin fabric of her bra, Isla gasped. Okay.
Rowan's breath was hot against her skin. More than okay, she managed.
Please, don't stop. His hands moved to her back, finding the clasp of her bra.
Can I?
Yes. The fabric fell away and then his mouth was on her bare skin. His tongue circled her nipple, teasing, while his hand cupped her other breast with exquisite gentleness. Isla's head fell back against the stone wall, a moan escaping her lips. She'd forgotten. No, she'd never known. That touch could feel like this. Rowan's mouth moved lower, kissing a path down her stomach. When he reached the worst scar, the jagged line where Demon had broken her ribs so badly they'd needed stitches, he lingered there. His lips traced the raised tissue with devastating tenderness. This is where he hurt you, Rowan murmured against her skin.
Yes. Isla's voice shook.
Then this is where I'll spend extra time. His tongue traced the scar, hot and wet,
showing you that your body is beautiful.
That these marks are proof of your strength, not your shame. Isla's hands fisted in his hair, holding him to her. She was shaking now, overwhelmed by sensation, by the care he was taking with her broken parts. Rowan's hands moved to the waistband of her pants. I want to taste you, he said, voice rough. Want to make you feel so good you forget every bad touch, every moment of pain. Will you let me?
Isla could barely breathe.
I've never, Demon, never.
I know.
Rowan pressed a kiss just above her navel. But I want to worship you the way you deserve. If you'll let me. Yes. The word came out as a whimper. Please, Rowan. He unbuttoned her pants with careful fingers, sliding them down along with her underwear. Then she was completely bare before him, and instead of shame, she felt powerful. Because Rowan looked at her like she was everything. Lie down, he murmured, gesturing to the soft furs he'd spread across the cave floor. Isla did, her heart hammering as Rowan settled between her thighs. His hands stroked up her legs, gentle and reverent, giving her time to adjust, to accept. So beautiful, he whispered. Then his mouth was on her. Isla cried out, back arching off the furs. Nothing had ever felt like this. Rowan's tongue was skilled and patient, learning what made her gasp, what made her moan. He explored her slowly, thoroughly, like he had all the time in the world to map every sensitive place. When his fingers slid inside her, curling to find that spot that made her see stars, Isla's hands scrabbled for purchase on the furs. That's it, Rowan encouraged, his voice muffled against her. Let go. I've got you. He added another finger, stretching her gently while his tongue worked magic on her most sensitive flesh. The pleasure built and built, coiling tight in her belly, and for the first time in her life, Isla wasn't afraid of it. She chased it, hips rolling against Rowan's mouth, shameless in her need. Come for me, Rowan commanded, and the authority in his voice, so different from Demon's cruelty, pushed her over the edge. Isla shattered, pleasure crashing through her in waves. She cried out Rowan's name, hands fisted in his hair, body shaking with the force of it. And through it all, Rowan kept working her, drawing out every last tremor until she was boneless and gasping. When he finally lifted his head, his lips were glistening and his eyes were pure molten gold. "You're shaking," he murmured, kissing his way back up her body. "Good shaking," Isla managed, still trying to remember how to breathe. "I didn't know. I've never." "Never." Rowan's expression was both tender and fierce. "He never made you feel good." "Never." She pulled him down for a kiss, tasting herself on his lips. "Only you. Only this." Rowan groaned against her mouth. "I want you so badly it hurts." "But Isla, we can stop here." "You don't have to." "I want all of you." Isla's hands moved to his shirt, tugging at the fabric. "I want to feel you. Please." He helped her remove his shirt, and Isla's breath caught. His body was all hard muscle and golden skin, beautiful in a way that made her ache. Her hands explored his chest, tracing the defined planes, feeling his heart race under her palms. Her fingers found his belt and Rowan's hand covered hers. "The bond," he said, voice strained. "If we do this, if I'm inside you when you come, my wolf will want to mark you. Complete the mating. Are you ready for that?" "Yes." Isla had never been more certain of anything. "I want your mark. Want everyone to know I'm yours." "Isla." Her name was a prayer and a curse. "You're going to destroy me." She helped him remove the rest of his clothes, and when he was finally bare before her, Isla's eyes widened. He was big, bigger than demon, and for a moment old fear spiked. Rowan saw it instantly. "We'll go slow," he promised. "As slow as you need. And if it hurts, if you want to stop, just say the word." He settled between her thighs, the head of him pressing against her entrance. Even that small contact made Isla gasp. "Breathe," Rowan murmured, one hand cupping her face. "Look at me. Stay with me." Isla met his eyes as he slowly, so slowly, pressed inside. The stretch burned, but it was nothing like the brutal pain she'd learned to endure. This was different. This was fullness and heat and the overwhelming sense of rightness. "Okay." Rowan was trembling, sweat beading on his forehead from the effort of holding still. "More," Isla breathed. "I want more." He sank deeper, inch by careful inch, until he was fully seated inside her. They stayed like that for a long moment, just breathing together, adjusting to the sensation. Then Rowan started to move. It was slow and deep and devastating. Each thrust rubbed against places inside her that made her see stars. His hands were everywhere, in her hair, on her breasts, gripping her hips, and every touch was reverent. "You feel incredible," Rowan groaned. "So perfect. Like you were made for me." "Maybe I was," Isla gasped. The pleasure was building again, faster this time. "The bond, I can feel you. Feel what you're feeling." "Good." He angled his hips and hit that spot inside her that made her cry out. "Then you know how much I love you. How much I need you. How I'd burn the world down to keep you safe." His pace increased, still controlled but with more urgency. Isla wrapped her legs around him, pulling him deeper, chasing the pleasure that was spiraling higher and higher. "I'm close," she gasped. "Rowan, I." "Let go." His hand slid between them, fingers finding her clit. "Come with me. Let me feel you." The combination of sensations, him inside her, his fingers on her, the mate bond pulsing between them, threw Isla over the edge. She came with a scream, her body clenching around him, pleasure exploding through every nerve. Rowan's control shattered. He thrust hard and deep, his own release overtaking him. And as he came, as the bond surged between them like golden lightning, Isla felt his teeth at her shoulder. "Yes," she breathed, even lost in pleasure. "Mark me. Make me yours." The bite was sharp and bright, but it dissolved instantly into golden warmth that flooded her entire body. The mate bond snapped into place like a key turning in a lock, and suddenly she could feel everything he felt. The overwhelming love. The absolute commitment. The bone-deep certainty that he would die before letting anyone hurt her again. Mine to protect, Rowan murmured against her bleeding shoulder, licking the wound closed. Never to own. Isla's hands tangled in his hair, pulling him up for a kiss. Then, guided by instinct she didn't question, she bit down on his shoulder, not hard enough to truly hurt, but enough to break skin.
Enough to mark.
Mine to trust, she whispered against his skin. Mine to love. The bond completed with a flash of light so bright she saw it even with her eyes closed. When it faded, she was wrapped in Rowan's arms, their hearts beating in perfect synchronization, their souls irrevocably intertwined.
Isla was crying. She couldn't help it.
3 years of pain, fear, and degradation were being washed away by this overwhelming sense of safety, of being cherished, of being home. Did I hurt you? Rowan's voice was panicked, his hands gentle as they wiped her tears. Gods, Isla, I'm so sorry.
Happy tears.
She laughed through them, pulling him close.
I didn't know it could be like this.
Didn't know touch could feel good. Didn't know I could want someone and not be afraid of what comes after. Rowan kissed her forehead, her cheeks, the tip of her nose.
It should always be like this. Gentle when you need gentle. Passionate when you want passion. But always consensual. Always about pleasure, not pain.
I love you.
The words slipped out before she could stop them. Rowan went very still.
Then his arms tightened around her, and she felt his own tears against her neck. I love you too, he said, voice rough with emotion. And I'll keep you safe.
I promise.
For the rest of our lives, I'll keep you safe. They lay tangled together as the moon rose outside, the mate bond humming contentedly between them. Rowan pulled a fur over them, keeping her warm, and Isla settled against his chest. For the first time in 3 years, she fell asleep without nightmares. She dreamed of forever instead. 3 weeks had passed since the mating bond, and Isla barely recognized herself. She laughed now, real, genuine laughter that came from her belly instead of nervous politeness.
She slept through the night without nightmares.
She'd gained weight, color returning to her cheeks, and the haunted look in her eyes was fading. This morning, she stood in the clearing behind the cabin, facing Rowan with her fists raised. I can't do this, she said, dropping her hands. I'm not strong enough to actually fight someone. Rowan circled her slowly, patient. You survived 3 years of systematic abuse.
You're stronger than you know.
This is just teaching your body what your spirit already understands, how to fight back. But what if I freeze? What if he comes and I just...
Then I'll handle it.
But Isla, you deserve to know you can defend yourself. He moved suddenly, not attacking but testing her reflexes. Isla's body reacted on instinct, the block he'd taught her, followed by a sharp jab to his ribs. Not hard enough to hurt, but placed correctly.
See?
Rowan grinned. You're a natural. Isla stared at her own fists, something fierce blooming in her chest. Teach me more. They were so focused on training that neither of them heard the tracker slip away into the forest. By noon, the tracker stood in Demon's office, sweating under the Alpha's cold stare. You found her. Yes, Alpha.
Deep in the Western Territory.
She's with the banished Lycan King, Rowan.
They've been living in his cabin. And Alpha.
The tracker hesitated.
She bears his mark.
They've completed the mate bond. The glass in Demon's hand shattered. Blood dripped from his palm, but he didn't seem to notice. She belongs to me. Alpha, if they are bonded. I don't care if she's bonded to the fucking moon goddess.
Demon's voice was deadly quiet. She's my wife. My property.
And I'm bringing her home.
Within the hour, he'd assembled 15 pack warriors. They left before sunset.
Isla woke to the sound of footsteps surrounding the cabin.
Too many footsteps.
Her eyes snapped open in the pre-dawn darkness, the mate bond already screaming danger before her conscious mind caught up. Beside her, Rowan was already awake, body tense.
Stay behind me, he whispered.
How many?
At least a dozen.
Maybe more.
His eyes flashed gold in the darkness.
He brought an army.
Isla's blood turned to ice. She'd known this moment would come eventually. Had tried to prepare herself.
But now that it was here, now that Demon was outside, all her newfound strength evaporated like morning mist. Isla. Demon's voice carried through the cabin walls, smooth and concerned. Baby.
Come out. I just want to talk.
Her breath started coming in short gasps.
He found me.
Oh God, he found me. Rowan pulled her against his chest, one hand on her back. Breathe with me.
He can't have you.
I won't let him.
You don't understand. He'll kill you.
He has warriors with him and you're alone, Anne.
I'm not alone.
I have you. Rowan cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. And he can try to take you, but he'll have to go through me first. And I promise you, Isla, I will not go down easy. Outside, Demon's voice continued.
I know you're scared. I know I hurt you. But baby, I've been going crazy without you. I'm so sorry.
I miss you.
Come home and we'll work this out. I've changed.
I swear I've changed.
Something in Isla's chest twisted. She'd heard those words before. Hundreds of times.
And every single time, she'd believed them. Every single time, he'd been lying.
But what if this time was different?
Don't, Rowan said softly, reading her thoughts through the bond. Don't let him in your head. You know the truth. But what if he really has? Abusers don't change, Isla.
Not like this.
Not in 3 weeks.
His thumb stroked her cheekbone.
But it's your choice. Whatever you decide, I'll support you.
Isla stared at him.
You'd let me go back. Pain flashed across Rowan's face. I'd die inside.
But yes. Your choice always.
I won't keep you prisoner, even to keep you safe. Even if it destroys me. The words hit her like a physical blow.
Rowan trusted her judgment. Respected her autonomy.
Even now, even with Demon outside surrounded by warriors, Rowan was giving her the choice.
Demon had never given her a choice about anything.
Isla? Demon's voice was getting harder now, impatient. I'm running out of patience.
Don't make me come in there and drag you out. You know how I get when I'm angry. And there it was. The threat.
The real Demon bleeding through the apologetic mask. Isla's hands stopped shaking. She looked at Rowan, her mate, her savior, her choice, and felt the mate bond pulse between them. Love and trust and absolute certainty.
I need to face him, she said quietly. Not because I'm going back, but because I need to tell him no.
To his face. I need to choose you out loud. Rowan's eyes blazed gold. Then I'm right beside you.
No. Isla touched his cheek.
Close.
But I need to do this myself.
I need to know I can. Isla.
Trust me, she said.
The way I trust you. Rowan pulled her into a fierce kiss. If he touches you, I'm ripping him apart. Mate bond or not.
Deal.
Isla walked to the door, heart pounding but steps steady. Through the window, she could see Demon standing in the clearing, 15 warriors fanned out behind him. He looked exactly as she remembered, handsome, commanding, dangerous. And she felt nothing but disgust. She opened the door and stepped out into the dawn light. Demon's face split into a relieved smile. Thank God. Baby, I've been so worried. Don't call me that, Isla said, voice stronger than she expected. His smile faltered. Isla, sweetheart, I know you're upset, but...
I'm not upset.
I'm done. Behind her, she felt Rowan's presence in the doorway. Felt his support through the bond, steady as stone. Demon's eyes flicked to him and darkened with rage. You stole my wife. She was never yours, Rowan said calmly. She was your prisoner.
That's not how pack law works.
She's mine by marriage bond. Actually, Isla interrupted, the mate bond supersedes marriage in pack law.
I checked.
Which means legally, I'm Rowan's now.
Not yours. Demon's mask cracked completely. You let him mark you?
You let that exiled piece of shit put his teeth in you.
I asked him to, Isla said, and felt a surge of pride. I chose him. Freely. Without fear.
Something you never gave me the chance to do. I'll kill him. Demon took a step forward, and his warriors moved with him.
I'll tear him apart and drag you home where you belong.
Isla didn't flinch. Then you'll have to kill me too. Because I'm not going anywhere without him. The words hung in the air between them. Demon stared at her like she was a stranger. And maybe she was. The broken, terrified woman he'd created was gone. In her place stood someone new. Someone stronger. Someone who chose herself. Last chance, Isla, Demon said, voice dropping to that dangerous quiet she remembered too well. Come home now, or I'm coming in to get you. Isla looked him in the eyes and said the word she'd been too afraid to say for 3 years.
No. Demon's face twisted into something ugly. You're mine.
You don't get to decide anything. I was never your wife, Isla said, voice shaking but clear. I was your prisoner. You ungrateful bitch. You broke my ribs. The words poured out now, 3 years of silence breaking like a dam. Gave me concussions. Starved me as punishment. Locked me in our bedroom for a week. Made me believe I was worthless, stupid, broken. You deserved every second of it. Demon snarled, all pretense of civility gone. You were pathetic. Weak. I tried to make you better, but you were too stupid. No. Isla's voice rang out across the clearing. I didn't deserve it. No one deserves that. And I'm not stupid. I'm not worthless. I'm not any of the things you said. Her hands clenched into fists. You're a liar and an abuser and I'm done. Demon moved so fast she barely saw it. One moment he was 10 feet away, the next his hand was reaching for her throat. Rowan intercepted him mid-lunge, the two men crashing to the ground in a tangle of limbs and fury. She's mine. Demon roared, claws extending. She's NO1's. Rowan blocked a vicious strike. She's free. They fought with savage intensity, Demon fighting dirty, going for eyes and throat, while Rowan tried to subdue without killing. Pack law was clear, killing an alpha meant execution, even in defense. But Demon had no such restraint. His claws raked across Rowan's chest, drawing blood. His knee drove into Rowan's injured ribs. He was bigger, fueled by rage and entitlement, and he was winning. I'm going to kill you, Demon panted, pinning Rowan to the ground. Then I'm going to drag her home and teach her what happens to disobedient wives. His hand closed around Rowan's throat. She'll beg me to kill her by the time I'm done. Rowan's eyes were starting to glaze. The warriors stood frozen, uncertain. And Isla grabbed a fallen branch. I said no. She swung with every ounce of strength she had. The branch connected with Demon's skull with a sickening crack. He toppled sideways, dazed, and Rowan gasped air back into his lungs. You hit me, Demon said, almost confused. Blood trickled from his temple. You actually hit me. Yes. Isla stood over him, branch still raised. And I'll do it again if you touch him. Demon's face contorted with rage. He started to rise. Rowan was on him in an instant, using Demon's disorientation to flip their positions. This time, when Rowan's hand closed around Demon's throat, it was with a clear intent to end this. Enough. An older wolf stepped forward from among the warriors, Elder Marys. What is the meaning of this, Demon? She's my wife. He stole. Is this true? Marys looked at Isla. The abuse she claims. Isla met his eyes. Every word. For 3 years. With shaking hands, she pulled up her sleeves, showing the scars. Lifted her shirt to reveal the jagged line where her ribs had broken and healed wrong. He called it discipline. I called it hell. Murmurs rippled through the warriors. One of them, a younger wolf named Thomas, stepped forward. I suspected. We all did.
But his alpha.
Who were we supposed to tell?
Another warrior. I heard her screaming once. Demon said she'd had a nightmare. I had nightmares, Isla said quietly.
But they were of him.
Mary's expression hardened. He looked at Demon with disgust.
Demon Blackwood, by the authority vested in me as Pack Elder, I hereby strip you of your alpha title and banish you from this territory. You have 1 hour to leave.
You can't. I can and I have.
You're a disgrace to this pack.
Mary's turned to Isla.
And you, child, are free.
The marriage bond is dissolved.
You owe him nothing.
Demon thrashed against Rowan's hold. This isn't over. She's mine. She'll always be.
Rowan's fist connected with his jaw, and Demon went limp.
It's over, Rowan said quietly.
Touch her again, and pack law won't save you. I'll kill you myself. 2 warriors dragged Demon's unconscious body away. The others dispersed, shame-faced, leaving Isla and Rowan alone in the clearing. For a long moment, Isla just stood there, trembling. Then her legs gave out. Rowan caught her before she hit the ground, pulling her against his chest.
I've got you.
You're safe. You're free. And Isla sobbed, great, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep inside. Not from sadness, but from relief. From 3 years of pain finally ending. It's over, she gasped between sobs. It's really over. It's over, Rowan confirmed, pressing kisses to her hair. You're free, love. You're finally free. 6 months later, Isla stood in the doorway of Haven House watching a new arrival stumble through the entrance. The woman, Thea, according to the intake form, had a black eye, split lip, and the same hunted look Isla remembered seeing in her own mirror. You're safe here, Isla said gently, keeping her distance. No one will hurt you.
Thea's laugh was bitter. I can't stay. He'll find me.
He always finds me.
I know. Isla pulled out a chair, sat down slowly.
Because I said the same thing once. Thea's eyes flickered to Isla, confident, smiling, whole, and something like hope sparked. You were?
For 3 years. Isla pulled up her sleeve, showed the scars.
My husband broke my ribs, gave me concussions, starved me, made me believe I deserved it.
She met Thea's eyes. But I didn't.
And neither do you.
How did you leave? I had help.
Someone who saw what was happening and refused to look away.
Isla smiled, thinking of Rowan. And you have help too. You're safe here.
We have legal advocates, counselors, a place to stay. Whatever you need. What if I'm not strong enough? You're stronger than you know.
Isla reached out, stopped just short of touching. You're here. You took the first step. That's the hardest part.
The months that followed blurred together in the best possible way. Isla taught self-defense classes to survivors, watching them transform from victims to warriors. She spoke at pack council meetings about domestic violence, changing laws, saving lives. And every night, she came home to Rowan. Their mating ceremony had been simple, just the 2 of them under the full moon, choosing each other again. Choosing forever. Now, as sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Isla sat on their cabin porch with Rowan's arm around her shoulders. You helped 12 women this month, Rowan said, pride evident in his voice. Thea started her self-defense training. Maya got her restraining order approved.
You're changing lives, Isla.
I'm proud of me too.
She smiled.
That's new. I love you.
He turned her face toward his.
Every day, I love you more. I love you too.
Isla touched his cheek. Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself. For giving me the space to heal.
For choosing me every single day. Thank you for choosing yourself. For being brave enough to want more.
For teaching me what real strength looks like.
He kissed her then, gentle and deep and full of promise. When they pulled apart, the sun had dipped below the horizon, stars beginning to emerge. Isla looked out at the darkening sky and thought about all the women still trapped in the hell she'd escaped. About Thea and Maya and countless others who thought they were alone. People ask me how I survived, Isla said softly. The truth? I almost didn't. There were days I wanted to give up, days I thought death would be easier than one more beating, one more cruel word, one more night of terror. Rowan's arm tightened around her. But here's what I learned. You are not the abuse. You are not the bruises. You are not the cruel words someone used to break you. You are the strength it took to endure. You are the courage it takes to leave. You are the hope that keeps you breathing one more day. She turned to look at Rowan, her mate, her love, her choice. And if you're lucky, so incredibly lucky, you find someone who sees all your broken pieces and doesn't try to fix them. They just love you while you fix yourself. That's not weakness. That's the bravest thing I've ever done. Isla stood, looking out at the forest that had once hidden her abuser but now represented her freedom. If you're reading this, if you're living this nightmare right now, know that you can escape too. And I promise you, there's life on the other side. Beautiful, free, joyous life. You just have to take the first step. She smiled, truly and completely free. I believe in you. Because I was you. And I made it. So can you. Rowan pulled her close, and they stood together watching the stars emerge. Two people who'd found each other in darkness and built something beautiful in the light. Isla had learned to measure her life in different things now. If Isla's journey touched your heart, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. Drop a comment telling me, what was your favorite moment? And where are you watching from? If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out for help. You deserve safety, love, and freedom. I'll see you in the next story. Stay strong, beautiful souls.